9 mistakes that you should never make when eating eggs. Have you ever heard a bodybuilder say that the egg is a magical food? Believe it or not, saying that is not an exaggeration. Eggs are not only one of the most affordable and nutritious sources of protein, helping you build muscles, they are also rich in choline, which is essential for brain function and nervous system health. The problem is that, although many nutritionists recommend including eggs in the diet, 99% of them do not warn about the risks of consuming them improperly, and even fewer teach how to avoid these mistakes, which can greatly harm your health. Therefore, in this video, you will see the 9 most common mistakes when eating eggs as well as best practices to avoid these errors when preparing them. But before we begin, please leave your name, age, and where you are watching from in the comments. Mistake number 9. Forgetting to sanitize the shell before cracking it. Many people think that the eggshell does not need any care since it is not ingested. However, this thought ignores something fundamental: the possibility of microorganisms entering the interior when the egg is cracked. Bacteria such as Salmonella enteritidis can reside on the surface of the shell and, at the moment you break it, end up contaminating both the egg white and the yolk. It is a dangerous entry point for foodborne infections, which can result in diarrhea, fever, and abdominal pain. The big problem is that Salmonella contamination is no joke and does not stop with just these symptoms. In more severe cases, it can lead to hospitalization and health complications, especially in the elderly, children, and people with weakened immune systems. Studies have proven that properly sanitizing the egg significantly reduces the risks of contamination. The method is simple. Just wash the shell under running water and, if you prefer, use a small brush designated solely for that purpose, using little or no soap. Then, dry it with a paper towel or a clean cloth. However, it is important to highlight that some specialists recommend not washing the egg if you plan to store it for many days, because the shell has a natural film that prevents bacteria from entering. In that case, opt to sanitize only moments before preparing it. Many people also underestimate the importance of washing their hands before and after handling eggs. This prevents the transfer of microorganisms to utensils and other foods in the kitchen. In a busy routine, it is common to arrive from the supermarket, take the egg out of its packaging, put it in the refrigerator without cleaning it, and then use it without even thinking about hygiene. This habit, seemingly harmless, increases the chances of contamination. Another interesting point is to use a separate bowl to crack each egg before mixing them into other recipes or foods. That way, if any egg is spoiled, smells bad, or has a questionable appearance, you do not compromise the rest of the food. Mistake number 8. Eating eggs without quality control. The desire to cut costs on food is understandable, especially in times of economic uncertainty. However, prioritizing cheaper products without considering their quality can be counterproductive in the long run. Many people also buy eggs without paying attention to their origin, believing that all eggs are the same. But the truth is that the quality of eggs can vary greatly depending on the conditions in which the hens are raised, as well as on storage and transportation. A report from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization emphasizes that birds exposed to dirty environments, inadequate feed, and a lack of veterinary control can produce contaminated eggs or eggs with lower nutritional value. Checking labels, expiration dates, and inspection seals is fundamental. In many countries, there is an agency responsible for inspecting farms and certifying that they comply with minimum standards of hygiene and animal welfare. This information is usually found on the packaging or even stamped on the eggshell. In addition, eggs from free-range hens fed higher quality feed may contain elevated levels of nutrients, such as beneficial fatty acids. Another precaution is to observe the physical condition of the egg. If the shell is cracked or dirty with residues, there is a possibility of internal contamination. In the case of cracks, microorganisms find an easy path to settle. You can use the old trick with a cup of water. If the egg sinks and remains on its side, it is probably fresh. If it stands upright or floats, it has already lost part of its freshness or is unfit for consumption. It is a simple technique that helps a lot in daily life. Even if you buy eggs in local markets or directly from farms, try to find out if there are good rearing practices. Home-produced is not always synonymous with safe. A lack of sanitary control, failure to vaccinate the birds, and negligence in cleaning can result in highly contaminated eggs being sold. Protect your health by choosing reliable suppliers, because there is no point in preparing the egg in the healthiest way possible if the raw material is already compromised. Mistake number 7, improper storage. The way you store eggs directly impacts food safety and quality. In several countries, it is common to refrigerate eggs from production until sale, because they are washed and lose part of the natural protection of the shell. In places where this washing is not done, eggs are usually kept at room temperature in the market, as they still retain their protective film. The problem arises when people mix these systems, for example, buying eggs that are not refrigerated and then carelessly placing them in the refrigerator. Additionally, placing eggs on the refrigerator door is a mistake. The door is subject to constant temperature fluctuations due to opening and closing, which compromises preservation. Ideally, place them on an internal shelf, preferably in their original packaging or in a specific compartment, keeping the pointed end downward. This helps preserve the centered yolk and the overall quality of the egg. Another recommendation is to avoid washing the egg as soon as it comes from the market if you plan to store it for several days, since washing removes the natural cuticle that prevents bacteria from entering. If you do wash it, it is better to use it immediately or within the next few days, always ensuring the shell is thoroughly dried. Moisture favors the proliferation of microorganisms, so it is essential that the egg is completely dry before returning it to the refrigerator. Before we continue to number 6, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, because in times when many spread misinformation on the internet for money, having constant access to correct information based on science is what will help you progress in the long run in the world of bodybuilding. Mistake number 6, consuming eggs with excessive salt. We know that adding salt to eggs is a very common habit. However, salt is composed mainly of sodium, an essential mineral that in high amounts can disrupt the body's fluid balance and lead to increased blood pressure. When you add too much salt to eggs, the sodium intake can quickly surpass the recommended limit, which is less than 2,300 milligrams per day for healthy adults, according to the guidelines of the American Heart Association. The increase in blood pressure, known as hypertension, is one of the main risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. Hypertension forces the heart to work harder to pump blood throughout the body, which can weaken the heart muscle over time. Additionally, high blood pressure can cause damage to the walls of the arteries, promoting the formation of atherosclerotic plaques that can reduce blood flow and further increase the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Another concerning aspect is that excessive sodium consumption contributes to fluid retention, which can exacerbate issues such as heart failure, where the heart already struggles to manage fluid levels in the body. Excessive sodium is also linked to the development of other conditions, such as kidney failure and vascular problems, due to the increased pressure within the blood vessels. Mistake number 5, consuming undercooked or even raw eggs. Some claim that eating raw or undercooked eggs maximizes nutrient absorption, but this belief lacks solid scientific evidence. Others even add a raw egg to protein shakes. In practice, aside from the great risk of bacterial contamination, the human body is able to digest and better absorb the proteins in an egg when it is cooked or prepared to a safe degree of doneness. The salmonella we mentioned earlier, for example, is a bacterium that can develop inside the egg and is only eliminated at temperatures above 158 degrees Fahrenheit. For people with low immunity, such as the elderly or those with chronic diseases, salmonellosis can lead to severe complications. It is no wonder that health agencies like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention emphasize the importance of cooking eggs until both the egg white and yolk are firm. Another issue is raw egg white, which contains the protein avidin that binds to biotin and reduces its absorption. In other words, instead of enhancing the nutritional value, eating raw egg white can lead to a long-term biotin deficiency. This can affect the health of your hair, skin, and energy metabolism. Mistake number 4, wasting the egg yolk. In the past, the yolk was demonized for containing cholesterol and fats. This led to the habit of consuming only egg whites, especially among people looking to lose weight or maintain low body fat levels. However, this idea ignores the fact that the yolk contains a significant portion of the vital nutrients of the egg. such as vitamins A, D, E, and K, as well as minerals like iron, phosphorus, and zinc. There is also choline, an essential substance for nervous system health, and antioxidants such as lutein and zeaxanthin, which are important for vision. Recent studies, such as one published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, suggest that the cholesterol found in the yolk is not as harmful as once thought. What really raises blood cholesterol in a concerning way are diets rich in trans fats, a sedentary lifestyle, and overall excessive caloric intake. In other words, the yolk by itself is not the big villain. In moderate amounts, it can even improve the lipid profile of many people since it provides monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats that are beneficial. By discarding the yolk, you also eliminate fat-soluble vitamins that are not present in the egg white in significant quantities. This can create gaps in your nutrition and force the body to seek these micronutrients from other sources, complicating your dietary routine. For athletes, combining egg white and yolk ensures a complete amino acid profile and favors muscle recovery. And for those who merely wish to lose weight, following a balanced diet is more effective than simply cutting out the yolk, as moderation and dietary variety tend to yield better long-term results. Therefore, if you were thinking that removing the yolk would be the solution for a clean diet, know that you might be discarding precisely the most valuable components of the egg. Mistake number 3. Consuming eggs with harmful additives. In the pursuit of convenience, some people opt for ready-to-eat eggs, frozen omelets, or even industrialized omelet mixes. Although they seem like quick solutions for everyday life, these products tend to contain preservatives, flavor enhancers, colorants, and stabilizers that can harm your health in the long run. A study by the European Food Safety Authority indicates that the accumulation of additives from various sources can lead to adverse reactions and contribute to chronic inflammation. The egg is naturally a nutrient-rich food and, when prepared simply, provides high-quality proteins, healthy fats, and a wide range of vitamins and minerals. With industrial products, it is difficult to know the exact origin of the ingredients, and it goes without saying that these products are also high in sodium, of which the risks have already been explained. Artificial seasonings also mask the natural flavor, making the meal artificial and often loaded with empty calories. Another problematic habit is pairing the egg with industrialized sauces, such as ketchup, mayonnaise, or so-called zero-calorie sauces, that may contain artificial sweeteners and thickeners. These substances, when consumed in excess, can disrupt metabolism and the balance of beneficial gut bacteria. Consequently, issues like bloating and gastric irritation may arise. The ideal is for you to prepare eggs in a homemade way, choosing fresh ingredients. If convenience is necessary, read the labels carefully and opt for brands that offer cleaner formulas with fewer additives. Mistake number 2. Frying eggs with harmful oils. Fried eggs are delicious and often the preferred method of preparation. However, the type of oil used makes all the difference in the final result, both in taste and health. Refined oils, such as those made from soy, corn, and canola, may contain fats of questionable quality. When exposed to high temperatures, these oils undergo oxidation, releasing potentially toxic compounds that are harmful to the body. According to an article published in the Journal of Food Science, lipid oxidation is linked to inflammatory processes that can trigger cardiovascular diseases and other chronic illnesses. Furthermore, many of these refined oils have an imbalanced fatty acid profile, with an excess of omega-6 compared to omega-3. This imbalance can contribute to systemic inflammatory processes when combined with other risk factors. That is why some people, when trying to eat healthier, end up choosing more stable fat sources for frying eggs, such as coconut oil or clarified butter, which withstand high temperatures better. Another strategy is to fry the egg using only a minimal amount of oil in non-stick pans, greatly reducing the fat content of the recipe. This not only decreases the caloric value, but also avoids the excessive formation of toxic substances. If the idea is to maintain the flavor of frying, simply adjust the temperature and do not let the oil smoke or burn. The smoke point is the moment when the oil begins to degrade, generating harmful compounds. Mistake number 1. Exaggerating the number of eggs consumed daily. Although the egg is an extremely nutrient-rich food, eating it in excess can cause imbalances. Physically active people, such as bodybuilders, often include several eggs in their diets because of the high-quality protein. However, there are limits that must be respected. A study published in the British Medical Journal associates excessive egg consumption in certain population groups with a slightly higher risk of heart complications, although the results vary greatly depending on lifestyle. The problem with overindulgence is not limited only to cholesterol. The yolk and the white together provide calories and nutrients that, in excess, can overload your metabolism or displace other important foods. A diet overly focused on eggs may result in insufficient intake of other micronutrients found in vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. Dietary variety is essential to ensure that your body receives all the nutrients it needs. For those who engage in physical activities, it might even make sense to increase protein intake, but this should be guided by a nutritionist or a professional in the field. Each person has different needs depending on weight, activity level, and specific goals. Eating 10 whole eggs per day without supervision can contribute to excessive calorie intake or imbalances in the lipid profile, especially if the diet also contains harmful fats and few vegetables. Seeking moderation and diversity on your plate is always the best approach. The egg is fantastic, but it should not be the sole source of protein or nutrients. Including fish, lean meats, beans, and dairy products can be much more advantageous. If you liked this, do not forget to share it with your friends who also make these common mistakes when eating eggs so that they no longer run any risks. Thank you for watching until the end, and may God bless you, my friend.